Welcome to Veronica Live, and I'm here talking with my wingman, and we're off air. We just started talking, and I was like, I've got to capture this, but, Memorial Day weekend just passed, and I was the mayor of Shell Island, John. Did I send you that video? I don't know if I sent you the video. It is the most, it was the most people ever on Saturday. I can't believe I forgot, as the mayor, I forgot to send that to you. But I will send that to you. It's literally incredible. I've never seen so many people at the island. And what was really cool was I got to meet a young guy that's 21 that's been in Nashville for 2 years. And he has written one of Morgan Wallen, the country singer that's mega famous, like one of his latest hot top 40 tracks. So that was cool. And I was like, well, how long did it take you to write that? And he was like, oh, that only took me 20 minutes. He goes, I'm embarrassed to tell you that. So, loved that for sure. But I just sent you the video because it was such an incredible day. Hello? All right, let me see. We might have lost John for a second. Hold on. All right, always a tech issue, but I got you back. No, I was talking about Shell Island. I sent you the video, hundreds of boats, and I got to meet the singer-songwriter for Morgan Wallen, one of his latest top 40 hits. So that was majorly cool. He's 21. He's been in Nashville for 2 years writing, and he's already made it, And he said at the Super Bowl he played the steel guitar, and there's only a few people in the country that can do that. So he actually performed at the Super Bowl, and he was absolutely adorable. So he's like Instagram Chandler Music. So I'm following him, John. But who knew a famous songwriter from Nashville was down here? So anyways, what frustrated me the most about the White House was Memorial Day is for our fallen brothers and sisters that were killed serving our nation, and I have, I've organized these funerals. I've had some friends that have been killed, and I was thinking, in particular about one F-15 pilot that flew with my husband, Zane Lowry, that was killed, and I actually did his funeral service when he died, and so that's who I was thinking about, his wife and daughter that he left behind. And then what did the White House push this weekend? Oh, it's the George Floyd, let's remember him. And, granted, I don't like the way he died. The cop was inappropriate with the use of force. But remember, wasn't he trying to pass the counterfeit money? He was high on drugs, and now he's a hero. How is this man a hero, John? Tell me.
Well, to conflate it with Memorial Day.
Oh, my gosh, I was ill.
There's a lot of people that were killed, I won't say illegal is a bad word, unnecessarily killed by the police, okay? Let's put it that way. Yes, because we have bad cops. That's a tragedy, okay?
Yes, and I put that all over X.
And we shouldn't forget that. But the fact is that we're talking about people that jump on grenades to save other people. That's what Memorial Day is about. It's about It's about the heroes that went out and protected our country from real evil. And to conflate somebody that has criminal behavior and dies in the act of that criminal behavior justly
with a bad cop. Right. I truly know he was a bad cop.
Right, bad cop, and so it wasn't a justified killing, but it certainly doesn't rise to the same level of heroism as somebody that jumps on a grenade. I'm sorry. I mean, that's the way life is.
He was a criminal. He was like a lifelong criminal that now there's his pictures everywhere. They're making statues of him. And again, like you said, how many people, when I worked at Tyndall Air Force Base, I worked in the Air Force Civil Engineering Center for a few years, and they have on the wall all of the people that have been killed trying to deal with an EOD, explosive ordnance device, trying to dewire it, turn it off. Yep. And like you said, those are the frickin' real heroes. George Floyd is not a hero. He's not a hero.
Right. George Floyd did not sacrifice anything for anyone. And every person that we remember on Memorial Day, it was in the military or policemen or whatever that did get killed on the line of duty, those people did sacrifice. As they say, they paid the ultimate price. They gave their life.
for our nation, and what he was trying to pass fake money. Give me a break.
To me, there's no equating it, but that's what the left wants to do. They want.
Well, I'm so tired of it.
Because they try to demean America. They try to demean the things that we stand for as Americans.
Well, it's everything lately. It's everything.
Right.
And this was Memorial Day. And then we had Easter with the frickin' transgender visibility day. We've had lesbian visibility day, which I never knew what that was till 2 years ago when dumbass, Karine Jean-Pierre had to announce that. I don't want to hear that anymore.
But the Democrats are advertising what they're doing. All you have to do is listen to back to Saul Alinsky, okay? Rules for Radicals.
Yeah.
Blame your opponent for what you're doing, okay? What are the Democrats blaming Donald Trump for? He's going to end democracy. That's exactly what the Democrats
and
are
he's
doing.
never going to leave when he takes over. Yet if Biden wins, I mean, the man is pretty much non-functioning.
I think we're doomed if he continues to win. Because,
oh my goodness!
Or if he wins again, because their policies will destroy what's left of this country. The justice system. If people don't understand what's happened in New York, we've crossed the line. Okay,
fully.
There's no going back.
Fully
we have crossed the line because now we're having star chamber prosecutions. Now what does that mean? Star chamber prosecutions was greatly debated. When by the founding fathers as part of the Constitution, and the idea was you can't go after a person because you don't like them and try to charge them criminally with something just to go after that person. That's a star chamber prosecution. So what have we got? It's get Donald Trump at any cost. Invent a crime, just get Donald Trump. That's the definition of a star chamber prosecution, and that's what's going on in New York right now. Even the Democrats, okay? A lot of Democrats are coming up and say, even CNN, they're sitting there saying this case is about nothing. Donald Trump didn't do
that's
anything.
one of the stories in our stack, that a CNN analyst shocked by Judge Merkin's handling of jury instructions. And I guess the instructions have been pretty pathetic. And there's 2 lawyers that we know that are on the jury.
What it is.
And he didn't want to put it in writing because he doesn't want to be held, accountable for what he's doing. And, we just had Ron Hart on, and what did he say? He's like, the judge keeps sending back the note that says convict Trump on it.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's when okay, I served on a jury recently, okay? One of the requirements was you had to unanimously find them guilty of the charged crimes, okay? And they gave you a list of the charged crimes, and you had to go
Well,
down
and that's
each
what
one of
the story from Town Hall says. It's crazy that the lawyers were not able to discuss the instructions in their closing. And then it talks about the absence of critical discussion phase means jurors are left to piece together the legal puzzle on their own. I mean, this whole thing is a wreck. I mean, honestly, it's been I saw Trump come out today because they just went to lunch, and he said that, he's been there, 5 weeks now? Yep. He's got a gag order. He can't talk. So that's what it's been about, pulling him off the front lines of his, rallies and campaigning. And it's disgusting. I don't know how this man sleeps at night, this judge.
Oh, he sleeps well, I'm sure, because he's doing he's not a judge, okay? He's a political partisan hack is what he is. And he just happens to wear judge's robes. And their whole goal is to find Trump guilty. And, as I predicted a couple of weeks ago, if the jury comes back and hung jury or acquits him or whatever, the judge is going to set aside their verdict and say guilty as charged, because that's the way they do it in New York.
But everything that we see, and I follow Clay Travis from the Clay and Buck show. I adore him, founder of Outkick. He's a lawyer. We don't even know what the damn charges are.
Right.
It is so confusing.
The judge said, well, you can find him guilty of something, and it doesn't have to be the same thing. Everybody can come up with a different thing that he's guilty for, and I'll consider that a unanimous verdict. I'm like, what?
Well,
they can come up with 12 different reasons, 12 different things that he's guilty of, and nobody can agree on any of them, but the judge is going to find that they're unanimous and find him guilty. I mean, this is insanity.
And then Kevin O'Leary, the Mr. Shark Tank guy, Mr. Wonderful, he's been saying this all along. Who would want to come do business in New York? who, and apparently,
New York. Not to do business. Who would even want to live in New York under this kind of regime?
But any company now can be screwed. They're looking at your paperwork, and we've seen the porn star was a disaster. Michael Cohen completely lied, outed crimes of stealing money from Trump, which I'm still baffled by that whole thing. But what are we trying him for? It is so confusing. Well, and I know that it's just embarrassing. This has been, we look so stupid.
The confusion comes because they won't name a crime. They said, well, he falsified business records. It's like, well, how did he falsify business records? Well, he charged the hush money payments to the business. And I say, well, there's nothing wrong with that. That's perfectly legitimate. And you go back, it's like, look at Hillary Clinton, right? Hillary Clinton paid what was it, Coey Perkins, a law firm, like $10 million to have them go fabricate the Steele dossier on Russia. So why isn't Hillary Clinton in jail over that? Well, because the FEC said it wasn't a crime to do that. And the FEC said what Trump did, that the non-disclosure agreement was not a crime. It was not a campaign contribution. It wasn't even subject to federal jurisdiction. And yet that's what they're charging him with in New York. They're claiming it's a campaign violation, and the judge would...
Well, it's awfully scary because, I mean, Trump, I call him Saint Trump now, Saint Trump of Mar-a-Lago. The persecution from the fake cover sheets, from the lethal force into his house, at one point saying he wasn't going to go to his son Barron's graduation, to now this, tying his hands, the Fannie Willis crap. I mean, I personally, I want to tune it all out. You and I are in this business where we can't tune it out, but it's been horrific, John.
Well, the only thing I can say about that is when you have FU money,
which I want some, please, you can tip me on Twitter, on X.
It's Trump, it's Elon Musk, people like that. They have so much money, they don't. You can't stop them. You can't shut them up. You can't ruin them. Okay, you can't cancel them.
Yeah,
you cannot cancel Trump. Period. I don't care how hard you try. You can't cancel him, and he knows that, and that's why he fights back, and it makes him stronger. He relishes. That's what they don't understand. I don't think, Veronica, they don't understand it. He loves this. This is what he lives for.
Who loves it? Trump. I don't know. This has been too much. I
don't think so. I don't think it's too much at all. I think he thrives on it.
I would be exhausted from this. I mean, it's been,
I would be, but not him. You got to remember, FU money people think differently than we do.
Yeah, but what happens if these jurors come back today and say he's guilty? Are they going to go? Put him in the orange jumpsuit, fingerprint him again, take the picture. Because we had the golfer, the Scotty, the awesome golfer that got arrested the other day. Those charges were dropped, but the nicest guy ever.
The thing. Here's the thing, and thanks to Dan Bongino, I am so glad he is a former Secret Service agent.
Yeah, can tell us what it is, right?
He knows
going
all
on.
This stuff. When it comes to things like Trump's going to prison. His point was Trump will never see a prison ever because there is a federal law that because Trump's a protectee, that anywhere he goes that the Secret Service is at, that they protect, that area becomes a federal jurisdiction. So even if he goes to Rikers Island, the area where Trump's at would be under federal jurisdiction by the Secret Service. They own the place. They own it. They can tell the state people to go to hell. They can tell the state people you can't bring a gun anywhere near this place. You can't bring prisoners near Trump. You can't do this, and you can't. The Secret Service has 100% say so.
Okay, well, I hope you're right because we had, the Jeffrey Epstein that, killed himself. Wink, wink. That went down. So
Well, that was what that whole Democrat thing was, and I forget the idiot Democrat that came up with it was trying to put a bill in to strip Trump of his Secret Service protection as a former president, which is which is
oh yeah, that's sick. No, wasn't that Mr. Pull the Fire Alarm guy that put that forward? I don't even know the real name, but he was Pull the Fire Alarm. Totally disgusting.
Another one interfering with an official proceeding, but he's not going to prison, is he? Like the January 6 people who interfered with an official.
Oh my gosh, that are rotting in hell. Which I really hope when Trump's elected that he can, let all these people free. I mean, what has happened to America? That like more people killed every single day by these people coming through the border. There was an article I saw yesterday that now they're fully coming through from Canada. So
and San Diego and Canada are the two primary entry points now. The Texas border has calmed down quite a bit. I guess because Governor Abbott has all the National Guard out there.
And he has a lot of razor wire.
Right. So now they're coming through San Diego, where California is doing nothing to stop them.
Well, how do you see?
We're having a Chinese invasion. It's Chinese and Middle Eastern people. The Guatemalans, Nicaraguans, all that's pretty much calmed down to nothing. Everybody that's coming in now is from the Middle East, from Europe.
People that hate us. People that hate us. Exactly. I mean, it's awful.
Well, look at the military base. They had those Jordanians.
Yeah.
They got stopped. Illegal Jordanians.
So what was the final on that? I saw that story break. Has anybody said anything on that story?
Yeah, they're not gonna charge them. They're gonna let them go because they had no records of these people. I'm like, what? These people are here.
Why aren't we exporting them to Jordan or wherever?
They just let them go. They just let them go into the U.S. because
so they can try it again.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, how do you know these aren't probing attacks? Sitting there trying to probe our military.
Well, we know people like to do test runs, as we've heard about that before.
So the whole thing is just. It's like the world's upside down, Veronica.
No, the world's fully upside down. And my very Christian friends say Jesus is coming, and I keep joking, make sure I'm on the boat, John, because I don't want to miss the party.
It may be true, when the Iranians get a nuclear device and they decide to light up Israel with their nuclear device, it may be the end of the world.
Well, and we're so friendly with the Iranians. Which did you see? It was on X that whoever's in charge of Iran now, one of those names I can't say because I can't even say John Smith, came out on X and said, Ayatollah 1 million, that all of these protesters are doing such a good job. And these protesters with their green hair, nose rings, gauges, tatted from head to toe, they wouldn't last a week in Iran. They would be shot dead.
Particularly the gay and lesbian ones. The gay guys would really be funny. Go over there and watch what happens to you when you go out in the street and start kissing your buddy and your other.
Well, you can be gay. I don't care. I love you. I just don't need it in my face. And and especially all the green, blue hair. I'm over it. Which that's a story which I don't know if I sent it to you or not. It's the UK nurses launched lawsuit. They claim a transgender colleague harassed them in the changing room. And what was so interesting about this story, John, was this transgender, I guess, former man, woman would walk around and, because when you're a nurse or a worker, you want to change out of your scrubs, right? You're trying to be clean. You don't need to take germs with you. You don't need to take germs into where you're going in the hospital. And he's walking around the changing station with his junk out so all of us could see that he was a man. And why the hell would I? And you know what? They told these nurses to shut up and color, just to be transparent, and it's okay. And
how about the nurse pick up a scalpel and maybe give him a little surgery?
So the quote is, my manager was basically told that we needed to be, or told the woman that we need to be more inclusive and broaden our mindset. One of the nurses who works at the hospital said, the trust are backing this individual. We need to be educated, which is just, I find that absolutely insulting, totally insulting. And we needed to compromise. So we're the problem. if we don't want to see this man's junk. Yep. And so now none of the women are changing there. Or if somebody, started to change, he would come over and present in front of you,
That sounds more like a pervert to me than
I think
anything,
so.
I mean, and I guarantee you 10 years ago that would have been considered a pervert and would have been arrested for doing that.
It says it's very intimidating. We feel like we're not able to speak about it, that we're silenced, that our views don't count. It's really upsetting. And apparently this door into this room is really thick and it kind of slams and locks. And so the women were afraid to be alone with this, with this perv. And so who's protecting the women? Why is it the women? You have one person that wants to be different, and you're walking around with your manhood out. There's something wrong there, John.
Well, how is it, Veronica, that, all the years of now, the National Organization of Women and all this fight for equality.
We don't hear jack from them.
Right. And where are they all at on this stuff? And it's like, because they're liberals first, okay? Liberals first. They don't give a damn about women or women's rights. They're liberals first, so whatever the cause celeb is, and that's the LGBTQTXYZ rainbow idiots, even though they're a tiny, tiny fraction of the population, they make all the noise, and that's what counts. They have liberal views, and they make noise. And to hell with the women, to hell with the Title IX sports, to make women, have equal opportunity in sports. To hell with that, we're going to let guys go in there. How many more track meets does it take, to where some guy that's claiming to be a woman goes out there and smokes all the women and breaks all the records? So
listen to this, though. The nurses also said the trans worker claimed to have stopped taking female hormones to get his girlfriend pregnant. So the female nurses told their management that this is intolerable, and they're over it. I mean, remember in the old days, and you're older than me.
Does that make him a lesbian that can make a real woman pregnant?
I don't know. But I just remember in the old days, we didn't talk about this stuff. This would have never been tolerated. I mean, this is just out of control. And that goes to one of the stories in the stack that I pulled this week was, this one's so good because they miss me, John. They miss me. One major retailer will scale back its annual Pride collection. And guess who that is? Target, because they canceled my card because I stopped using it, and they're missing me. So if you want to buy Pride stuff now, it's going to be online and not when you walk into the store like it was the last 2 years in your freaking face with Satan stuff, tuck it stuff for a little kid to tuck his manhood away. It was ridiculous, and maybe because I didn't. My card wasn't on fire. That Target card, they miss me, John. So, it was crap. It was crap. Once again.
Well, the problem is it a real change, or is it just, first off, businesses should get the hell out of this business of trying to be social governance. That's what it is. It's all
I'm so sick of it.
ESG stuff, and DIE and businesses should get out of it because that's not their purpose in life. Their purpose in life is to sell goods and services, and they should do that in a uniform, non-discriminatory manner. Okay, and if they've got if the demand is there, from the LGBTQXYD, I'd really be
okay.
It
was dog toys, baby onesies. I literally was like, why do you have to put a baby in an LGBT onesie? It was stupid.
Well, what I'd really want to know, Veronica, which they never tell you, is out of all this merchandise they sell, how much of that is is their customer base? Are we talking about
it's not
a tenth of a percent?
Even though they keep saying, you know, all girls now are 30%, you know, they flow either way. I'm like, shut up and color. No, right. The ones that don't have it together and don't have the family unit and the moral unit. Now, it does say in the story that apparently last year they had 2,000 items. This year they've scaled it down to 75, and they've toned down the flamboyant nature of the products. I mean, because my whole thing is they took over the rainbow, and I used to buy like a rainbow umbrella or rainbow. I don't buy rainbow anything anymore because it's been stolen. And guess what? The rainbow belonged to Noah in the Bible. It needs to go back to those days, John.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure the numbers are probably, you know, out of all the Tucket, you know, bathing suits that they sold, you know,
oh my gosh,
24, and they probably ordered, you know, 10 million, and they were stuck with a bunch of inventory they couldn't sell or get rid of. I think that's the reason they scaled back.
And I'm not anti-gay. I have gay friends. That's not the problem. But they're all normal. They're not pushing this crap.
That's exactly right. It's all, just leave me the hell alone. I mean,
they don't. I mean, on X there was a video of some woman, and I couldn't even watch it. And the premise of that she knows her baby's gay, and it was a baby that was like 9 months old, and I couldn't even like hit click to hear what she had to say because I don't want to hear anymore. And they push that all the time on X, like, what do you think of this person? And yesterday was some woman with green hair and 50 like needles coming out of her mouth, and I'm like, I don't want to see that anymore. I don't. I mean, that's one of the downfalls of the platform to me.
In my world, that means there's something wrong with that person, you know. But that's my world, and that's my worldview, and that will continue to be my worldview, and it's shaped by, you know, my history and who I am and everything else, and that's fine. I don't care if you want to have needles sticking out of your nose.
Oh my gosh, you look like an idiot.
And say, you know, expect me to say it's okay to be.
No, they expect you to hire them, John, is what they want to work for you. And
I don't want.
And I'm like, no, because
hire people like that.
Real industries, nobody wants to see that, you know, in the medical career field or in the Wall Street world or in the military, which they keep pushing all of these men that have become women. You know, I'm just, it's so exhausting. I just want normality.
When, you know, they asked you straight up when you joined, you know, do you have homosexual tendencies? And if the answer was yes, you were gone.
Yeah.
Okay. We didn't put up with that stuff, you know, when I joined. So it's I don't know. Like I said, the whole world is crazy, and if they keep trying to force us to accept them as normal, and I will never do that.
No.
You know, sort of like the Pope, you know, sitting there saying, "Oh, well, we need to bless these unions and all this kind of stuff," and it's like, nope. And then he blames the bishops, you know, that say that's not what the teachings are. And they're saying, you know, those are conservative bishops. You know, they're in a box, you know, and they can't get out. You know, box of dogma or something.
My new favorite word.
Dogmatic box, I think, is what he said.
Yeah, yeah.
No, there's no such thing as a dogmatic box. It's either truth, you know, back to objective truth. It's either truth or it's not. It's not subjective.
Well, I miss the good old days where it wasn't all about sex. And I was at a meeting last week, and because I'm the regional director for the Republican Liberty Caucus in the Panhandle, so we're trying to, you know, start a presence here. And one of the gals is Moms for Liberty, and she had a book that was for children that had been in the library that pushed this, I'm a transgender kid, and I guess, I don't know if they were a girl trying to be a boy. I couldn't even look at the book, John. I'm not gonna go down that road. I'm over this.
Well, you know, I think it's completely inappropriate to be teaching children any of this stuff, and
it is. You know, kids don't think about sex. They worry about the Tooth Fairy, Easter Bunny, and Santa Claus. And they're not thinking about sex in K through, you know, whatever, 4th grade. Of course, you have to teach them about bodily functioning, you know, later on, puberty. But why do we have to teach this crap? I don't understand it. Leave it to the parents.
Oh well. So I I'm really over this stuff, and I wish it would just go away, but it's not.
I know it's not.
They won't let it go, and they're trying to normalize it. They're trying to force us to make it normal.
Yeah, and I refuse to. I refuse to. But I do want to chat again about Robert De Niro, because he was sent out by the Biden administration to represent the world, and he was at the trial site. He got out of a SUV, Uber Black, whatever it was, in a mask. So this man's like freaking 80 years old. He has like all these children. He just had a baby because all he does is bang women. I hate to say it that way, but that's what he does. And then he's trying to read a speech about how great Biden is. And it was an epic fail, John, because Trump was definitely the most hated man in the world. And now it's Robert De Niro. And somebody yelled at him like, "Your movies suck!" And he screams, "F you!" Of course, I mean, I've watched the clip.
Intelligent, articulate answer.
Well, who would go down that road?
Well, first off, do you think he was trying to reprise maybe a part in Goodfellas or Taxi Driver or The Untouchables? That's what I was trying to figure out. Was that because he looked like an idiot up there?
Right.
And he is so inarticulate. It's he's trying to read from the paper, and I don't know if he didn't understand the words. And this guy's supposed to be an actor, right? A guy that reads a script, reads lines and memorizes them, and then figures out how to deliver them with some kind of, force or emotion or something like that. And it's like either he's completely ill prepared, or he's Joe Biden senile.
Well, he thinks he's better. He thinks he's better than us. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he called Trump a clown, and I mean, the man's 80. So here's the Dems. They think they're so smart that they keep pulling out all these 80-year-olds, to come talk to. I mean, I will say De Niro's probably not as senile as the other one, but who was that supposed to impress, and especially when it went downhill?
Well, I don't know, and it's obvious it was a coordinated Biden campaign event, and I think they were countering the fact that Trump was having all these political leaders. Senator Scott was up there, Rick Scott, Matt Gaetz, all the people we know have all been up there in the trial and listening to it and coming out and making the comments that Trump's not allowed to, which I think was a fabulous strategy that somebody finally picked up on. It's like, let's have the surrogates get out there that are well-known surrogates, like a Rick Scott and have national presence, Marco Rubio, those type people, and let them carry Trump's message. And they did it very effectively. So I think that was a home run by whoever did that. And I think the Democrats were afraid of it because they saw how effective it was. And I think this De Niro thing was an attempt to try to counter that.
It was an epic fail. And his quote is, "If he gets in, I can tell you right now, he will never leave." And that's the only quote that they can have in these news stories.
Why didn't somebody ask him? Well, he already left once. Why do you think he's not going to leave? He already left once.
Right,
okay?
right.
Even though he said the election was stolen, he still left. So your statements are utter nonsense. They have no facts. You can't argue with. It's a 100% Trump derangement syndrome.
Oh, it was epic. Like the most Trump derangement syndrome person I've ever seen. Yep. And they're trying to put him forward to rally people. I don't know who it impressed.
He gets nasty, Veronica. He not only says bad words, he's nasty about it. And
he said that Trump could destroy the world. He said outside the Manhattan court. And he poses a unique and growing threat to our fundamental rights and our freedom, our very democracy and our economy. Okay, who's screwing our economy now?
Joe Biden.
I mean, everything's so expensive.
What I laughed at, though, Veronica, apparently Trump's a threat to the planet.
Oh my gosh!
He's going to block the sun out next.
This was the best one. De Niro was shouted at by protesters at the start of the press conference before a car horn began blaring. The actor argued that Trump does not belong in New York City, citing he wants to destroy the city and the nation. Oh my gosh, so he's giving that statement. It's like, So whoever did the Trump horn, A+. That was so freaking funny. So I've watched the clip a couple times, and then my husband hadn't seen it, and it was on, and like I've seen it now multiple times, and I laughed my ass off, and my husband thought that was hysterical. It was so funny. So good job. Keep sending out more 80-year-old men.
Yep. So speaking of the government screwing things up, and the Biden administration in particular, and one of the things that we're talking about was the Middle East there. I don't know if you saw this. You may remember that they were initially parachuting. With C-130s, they were parachuting aid into Gaza, right? Well, that quickly stopped because it was so stupid and ineffective and costly. So the Biden administration comes up with this idea of we're going to put this army pier, this mobile pier.
Oh my gosh!
Gaza. And this has turned into the biggest. This is a disaster on the scale of Afghanistan's withdrawals, Veronica. So the thing's called JLOTS. That's the Joint Logistics Over the Shore. That's the military acronym for this. It's a joint Navy and Army operation, primarily run by the Army. So they put in a bunch of barges basically lashed together to make a pier. They actually have two piers. They have one out at sea, and then they have one closer to the shore. Mm-hmm. Well, this is not designed for being out in the ocean, okay? This is designed for like being in a harbor where all the harbor facilities have been destroyed.
Okay, so not a real moving current.
Right, so it can't take waves over 3 feet, okay? That's the key to remember here.
Oh, my gosh.
3 feet is the maximum wave height before this thing starts having a lot of problems. Well, the area in the Mediterranean where they're at, the winds, the way the prevailing winds and the surface come, 3 feet is like pretty normal. So to start out with, first off, this was planned in the Pentagon, okay? A bunch of flag officers got together and said, hey, Army is in charge of this, Navy, you help out, and that's where the problem started. It took them 4 weeks because we have no prepositioned assets anymore.
Isn't that embarrassing? Because I have to say, my sister's a retired Army colonel, and as a lieutenant, her first platoon, she was the first woman that could go into combat building those pop-up bridges. Yep. And this is embarrassing. And talk about the cost. The cost was well over $300 million.
$350 million so far.
I wish somebody would give me some money. Thing, right? Well, I joked on X that I was like, did Buttigieg make the bridge? Because it floated away.
The headline this week was Dems claim 1 million pounds of aid delivered over this bridge, this JLOTS, bridge, and I started laughing at that, and it's like 1 million pounds. So okay, so let's break that down into real logistics, military logistics. 1 million pounds is 500 tons. Okay, each of these 40-foot containers that they use to ship goods back and forth. You've seen the big container ships with them. Each of those containers holds 25 tons of stuff.
Wow.
So 500 tons divided by 25 tons per container equals 20 containers. They moved 20 containers at the cost of $350 million. That's $17.5 million.
Fire them all. Fire them all.
Insane.
Yeah.
And just as a comparison for people to understand what 1 million pounds is, a 747 airplane, big airplane, but 747, still an airplane, weighs 1 million pounds is the gross weight of a maximum gross weight of a 747. That's how much stuff they delivered. Okay,
that's embarrassing. Yeah, absolutely nothing. No,
and it goes back to the problem. Problem number one, they said no U.S. boots on the ground. So what did they do? They went out and they hired a bunch of civilian contractors because you can't build and operate this stuff without people on shore, right? So they went out and hired a bunch of contractors, government contractors.
Probably making $1,000 a day.
So the military guys are doing the stuff off the shore.
Oh my gosh!
And then everything on the shore is a whole bunch of contractors that don't know what the hell they're doing. And you don't charge. I mean, it was a complete.
I'm telling you. I thought of Buttigieg since it was a bridge,
Right. And the funny part is the bridge that they should have used is called the Causeway Bridge. Okay, it used to be they used to have them forward deployed in the Middle East. They decided because they didn't want to spend money on having forward deployed assets anymore, Navy and Army both. They pulled everything back to the U.S. and the only Causeway Bridge in the U.S. inventory is sitting in a desert, out of commission. It's in long-term storage in the desert. I mean, this is like some kind of insanity.
We're not prepared. We're not prepared, and we don't have good leadership. They're more worried about your frickin' pronouns and letting some man that becomes a woman in a uniform give me a speech that I need to have pronouns. And I don't know. I'm glad I'm retired. I don't know if I could make it. Because personally, when I was job hunting last year, and I've told this story many times, and there was 10 pronouns on there. Are you cisgender, female, binary, two spirits, which I didn't even Google what that was. Why can't we just be a boy or a girl? And that's the breaking news today is that the UK came out and said no puberty blockers for kids under 18. And guess who was fighting the fight? Liberal J.K. Rowling of Harry Potter, the author. She's been beat up left and right, but good on frickin' UK today. And thank you, JK. I already put that on X. I mean, thank you. Because we're going to look back in 100 years and go, what was going on? They were cutting off, penises and vaginas and breasts.
Right. We sit here and we look back at history and you sit there and said, how did that happen? How did the people let that happen?
I don't know. I'm standing up. I'm pushing verbally. And, all my accounts have been hacked, because everybody, when you're out there, people come and attack you. Because I have another one this week that was attacked. So, but, John, it's insane. But anyways, I'm talking.
Well, I was going to say, many years ago, Florida State used to have these dinner lecture series that were very fascinating. And they had one that one of the professors did a detailed history on the Germans and World War II and the rise of Hitler. And I asked, I went to the dinner and they have a question and answer session. I asked him how and he talked about how all this stuff progressed. And it was like people voted for Hitler. Okay, the Germans voted for him. He didn't go in with a gun and take anything over.
Right.
And I asked him, how did the people allow that level of evil? Why did they vote for it? What was in their mind? And it's like, basically he made the trains run on time kind of thing. He got them coal, when they were cold. And it was, it was. Well,
but that's not even happening with the Dems because they're housing all the illegals now and they don't care about vets, blacks, Hispanics that are here already. So, but yeah, great discussion on that. And, anyways, I'm talking with my wingman, John Salick, and we'll continue the conversation. We're getting ready for our next guest coming up. We'll be right back on Veronica Live.